I've played a lot of great games over the past decade, but one of my all-time favorites is Persona 5. I vividly remember the week I played it. I got the game on Christmas Day, and for the next week, I was a student in Tokyo, stealing the hearts of rotten adults with my ragtag group of friends. While the gameplay is the best turn-based combat I've ever played, and the story is pretty great too, where the game really shined was in its characters, and the relationships I shared with them. Some of my favorite moments from the game weren't the big boss fights or the dramatic story moments, though those were pretty great too, but the tiny moments, like the time I had hot pot with my friends, or when we went to the beach together. It was New Year's Eve when I finally finished the game, and I remember crying as the fireworks began that night. Not because the ending was super sad or anything, but because I had to say goodbye to the wonderful friends that I'd met.
My favorite game of the decade would have to be the entire Danganronpa series. When I first heard about Danganronpa, I feel like it was just kind of this weird game that not a lot of people knew about necessarily, but as time went on, I got to hear about it more. It sounded way more interesting, and I finally got to play it, and it's honestly one of the best games I've ever played. Even though it makes me so angry sometimes, it makes me just as happy. Honestly, it's just one of the more fun games I've ever played, even though it started out as kind of this weird, obscure game when I first heard about it. But the best part of it is that it's home to my favorite video game character in the world, and her name is Chiaki.
My favorite game of the decade has to be my favorite game of all time, and that is Portal 2. Everything about the game is perfectly crafted. It's deliberate, you know where you need to go, you know how to do it, and it's a game that also makes you feel both really smart and really stupid at the same time when you figure out how to solve the puzzles. It has a cast of 4 characters at most. You got Cave, you got Chell, who doesn't even say anything, you got Wheatley, and you got GLaDOS. And somehow you take just these 4 characters and you create a very rich story that totally blows the first game out of the water. Portal was great, but Portal 2 is where the franchise really comes into their own.
My personal game of the past decade is actually just the entire Dishonored franchise as a whole. To me, these games are able to capture the perfect blend of stealth and action. Most games that have stealth elements either totally force you to fully sneak around the map and will game over you if you get caught, or its stealth system is done so poorly that it might as well just be a full action game. The Dishonored stealth system, on the other hand, is a thing of beauty, allowing you to flow in and out of great stealth mechanics as you please. On top of that, you have a wide array of amazing abilities at your disposal. From powers that help you sneak around, such as the ability to steal an enemy's face and use it as your own, to ones that will kick off insane fights, like summoning a swarm of rats that will devour anyone that it comes across. All of the Dishonored games were an absolute blast to play this past decade, easily making it my personal favorite franchise.